hello, and
Hello.
welcome to the next episode of Mischief Makers. My name is Dave Hearn, and guys, I'm with some wonderful people today. Introduce yourselves, please.
So I'm Deborah Andrews. My nickname is Debo, and I'm the costume designer.
Nice.
My name is Lulu Johnson. I'm currently head of Wigs at the Comedy About Spies.
Lulu's got very shy now that we've started.
I know.
I can feel it. So today we're going to talk a bit about like costume design and the wigs design and basically the kind of general aesthetic of the show. So why don't Debo, why don't you just give me like a headline sort of overview of like what do you do for those of us listening that aren't necessarily in the theatre world?
So what I do is help make the director's vision become reality, I suppose.
But what about your vision, Debo?
Well, it's that classic cliche of it's a team, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but I do think it starts with the director because he will. So his initial thing was he wanted it to be really colourful. So, and what's great about this is that I was lucky enough to come see the workshop, which was I've lost track of time.
It was like September, October time.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, so I saw the workshop, and then there was the Royal Variety performance of the first section.
Which wasn't very colourful. It was very grey,
exactly,
but that was intentional.
And that was intentional.
Yeah.
So my logic was we're in this really colourful world, but actually for the first scene, when we're at MI5, it's all grey. And it's all shades of grey because those agents should be people that you don't remember. They should be the grey people. So, and then luckily I got A, to see the workshop, and then B, really soon after we did the thing for the RVS.
Yeah.
So I got to meet you all, and we got to have a sort of trial of both the colourful stuff that we were doing for the photo shoot and the grey stuff. So that was my, I suppose, becoming part of the Mischief.
That was your way in.
My way in.
Your way in.
So.
And Lulu, what about you? What's your job? What are you?
My job
What are you
is
up to?
What am I up to? Level 3. I get the wigs ready for the show and do any sort of turnarounds if anyone's off sick or holiday and stuff like that, and just general maintenance and styling of the wigs.
And that requires like a whole person
Yeah.
to do that.
A whole person.
Now, why can't I just do that?
I could teach you.
You could teach me, yeah. But what would
I
you
think-
be teaching me?
I think just understanding hairstyles, especially this is like a 60s era, so it's a particular styling, involves a lot of rollers, a lot of wet sets.
Sure.
And that's one of the reasons why we've got wigs in the show, because if we didn't have wigs, those poor actresses would have to come in really early every day. They'd have to have their hair set on heated rollers.
Yeah.
And by the end of 6 months, their hair would be trashed.
They'd be ruined.
Damaged hair. So
Damaged
wigs is a protective way of showing a style, adding to an era and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With minimal damage, basically.
Kind of keeping the aesthetic.
Exactly, yeah.
And it also means that we can do things. So, for example, Nancy's character, we want to make her older than Nancy is in reality.
Yeah.
And she's a loud American. So she obviously had to have hair that was a little bit extreme. So we gave her a blue rinse. And it's really bluey lilac-y. So every so often it has to have a refresh.
Yeah, a little quick refresh of the blue.
Yeah.
I do most of my scenes with Nance, and I think I can tell when it's had its refresh.
Exactly.
Because I'm so close. And I'm like, ooh, it's there, I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She needs one soon, to be fair, so
She'll
keep
have
your
to
eyes
have
out for that one.
ahead of the filming.
Yeah,
she'll have
exactly.
to have a little lilac refresh.
Yeah, and how are you guys feeling about the filming? I feel like it's the aesthetic of the show will be under sort of more intense scrutiny, right?
Well, tomorrow we are doing a camera test, which is great because it means that we can see what we have to tweak. And I'm a little bit worried that we might have to lose some of the nice things because things strobe sometimes.
Yes, yeah.
And it's, with the first scene, for example, that shades of grey. So we've got stripes and checks and tweedinesses and, I don't know, boucle and different knits and
We're going to have an
stripy.
appendix for all these words for the listeners.
But then, so yeah, at one point they wanted to do the camera test the day before the filming.
Okay, you're frowning. That's not okay with you.
Well, what would we then do? Suddenly find a whole new set of costumes in?
If there's
do a
big
night
changes
shift.
that need to be
Exactly.
made. Okay,
So
yeah,
luckily
yeah.
we're doing it a couple of weeks beforehand. So if we do, you have a suit that has a very faint stripe in it.
Yeah, I like my suit,
Exactly.
but it might change.
So it might change.
Damn.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. And so actually, I'm just going to rewind us quickly.
Yes.
So you said when you first spoke to Matty, the director, about the show, and you said he wanted it to be colourful.
Yes.
Right. Now, I'm just wondering how that feels to hear that as a designer, because I think for me as a creator, if someone was like, "Oh, I'd like a show just to be funny," then you're like, "Yeah, but what kind of funny? What kind of comedy are you looking for?"
I think in a way, I knew he'd seen something I'd done before that he liked. So I knew that we were on the same sort of wavelength when we came to colour. And I also knew that I wanted to use vintage things as far as possible, rather than, we didn't have a big enough budget to make loads of stuff.
Yeah.
Which means that the colours are sort of period accurate, I suppose. So the colours, I feel really, it feels a bit sort of pretentious saying it, but they sort of found themselves. So some
Okay.
things were dictated to. So the set we knew was going to be, there was blue, if I remember correctly. This is the paintwork from the hotel,
Yeah.
and then the doors are wooden, and then there's gold.
For those of you listening, Debo's got swatches, colour
Swatches,
swatches.
which were given to me by the set designer.
Okay, so you're having to collaborate with David Farley as well.
Exactly. So
Okay.
then we had a Zoom chat, probably just before Christmas, because we talked about how the bellboys would be, their uniforms in a way had to make sense with the colour of the hotel.
Okay.
It's like a sort of, corporate thing.
Yeah, everything kind of branding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that, and when we did the initial photos, I think we found a rather brilliant jacket for Greg, who plays Tipton.
Yes,
And I think it was yellow, or it had yellow trim. So we made him yellow. And in fact, there's one thing that I have regrets about every time I see the show.
Oh, this is what we're here for. Go on.
Which is that Tipton does a bit upstairs in the Battenberg, in the room that Woodbead ends up in.
Oh, the kind of yellowy room.
The yellowy room.
Yeah, that's where we're going. He's camouflaged.
So there's a moment when I'm looking at it thinking, oh no. Because also when David and I spoke, he had a picture of the rooms. So one room is, the American room is really bright.
Yeah.
The
We're
room
like
that
bright
Rosemary
orange,
and Co.
blue.
They're blue, and then the Russians are in the green room.
Well, we told David he's accidentally made the hotel room sort of look like the Windows logo, the Windows startup logo.
Oh, yeah.
But I think with the 4 squares of colour,
Yes.
and we saw it all on the screen, and we were like, that's the Windows startup. So we might get sued by Bill Gates. Who knows? But you were saying Greg disappears in the yellow room.
And so every now and then I find myself thinking, so if and when we do it again, do I say to David, can we change the yellow room to a different colour?
Yeah.
Or do we make should Tipton actually be in the blue like the rest of the bellboys?
Oh, he's
Sure.
so adorable in his yellow.
He is adorable
isn't
in
he?
yellow.
With his blue
Yeah.
trim.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it.
He looks good.
So then the room might have to change.
Well, I'm going to goad you here now, Debo, because I want some goss.
Yeah.
So have you ever, so there's a collaboration with the designer. Is there ever a clash with the designer where you're kind of, because you're facilitating the director's
Yes.
vision, but
I think traditionally the set designer gets to do his bit, and then the costume designer has to slightly fit in
really?
around the set. But you do normally work together.
Yeah.
But I think also because the set is a sort of bigger thing, so in a way that has to be started before. It might be started before
Or
the
like the
actors
actual
are
build of
cast,
it.
so
Yeah,
you can't
yeah.
actually. And yes, things like paint colours you probably can change.
Yeah.
I think that it's more complicated sometimes with lighting, because lighting
Yeah.
can change colours.
That's another David Howe.
Another
Yeah.
David. So it might be that you think, Like we had a moment when we realised that we'd gone too red on a few of the girls' wigs. Off, they looked like very different colours, but once they were on stage, I think Ashley and Ali ended up being a bit matchy.
We added, didn't we? We lightened.
We lightened one
Charlie.
and darkened. Oh, and then Charlie was really blonde.
Oh yeah, we darkened
And
Charlie
we darkened Charlie.
and made Ali more red.
One more red.
Yeah.
So we had to. There's a sort of knock-on effect of when you see them on stage, and the lighting can
Lighting
change.
changes so
Yes.
much.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if you've bought like a wig or a wonderful jacket, and then they turn some lights on, you're like, oh shit, that's just a different
Yeah.
colour.
Yes.
Now, would my eye pick that up? Do you think, like a regular person who's not a designer?
I think we all see colour differently, so I don't know what the answer to that is. So for example, we gave virtually everyone black trousers as a sort of. So for the ensemble, for example, when they're bellboys, they have black trousers, which is quite traditional for bellboys. But we couldn't give them a stripe down the side, which is what you'd normally have as a bellboy, because then you couldn't wear those trousers with your tourist or whatever else you're becoming. And those trousers, the fabric is quite man-made. So if you were being really fussy, you'd say they're not really lighting as properly black. While if they were wool, they'd light as a really nice black.
Wow, we're into
So
niche
those
knowledge.
funny
I love it.
nuances.
It sort of like washes out a lot of
It
colours, doesn't
washes
it?
out.
Lighting, even with makeup, you gotta go a little bit heavier because on
Yes.
stage, as soon as the light hits you, it's just.
So is that the same for wigs as well? Like the colours of the wigs are.
Yeah.
If I saw them backstage, I'd be like, wow, that looks crazy. But then as soon as under the lights,
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so, what is that effect? Is it just the way that it comes back, or is
I
it
don't
like?
know. I think it's the strength of the light.
Yeah.
Maybe is much
Yeah.
stronger, and also it's probably
Like
made
a car
up
headlight
of
shining
different
on
coloured
something.
light.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Yes. So Charlie's wig was originally, I wanted it to be really blonde, like the sort of cliche
Yeah.
Slavic ice maiden, and it just looked almost white,
Oh wow.
and it had no depth to it.
Yeah, yeah.
So we gave it sort of roots and
Yeah.
gave it a bit more.
Dyed it a bit darker, spray the roots darker.
Yes.
A bit of texture.
Bit of texture.
Yeah.
And also the other problem I think with 60s stuff is to our modern eye, it can look very false.
Yeah.
So when we gave her real sort of bouffant, it was like, why is she wearing a wig?
Right.
But actually, people's hair did look a bit like wigs in the early 60s.
Yeah, yeah.
Because everyone did backcomb it and curl it. And
Do all sorts to it.
so with Nancy's wig, that the combination of it being blue and being very curled, it
Well, that
probably
one
looks.
changed quite a few times,
That
didn't
did
it?
change.
Because it was way longer.
Yeah.
Chopped it up. It was all down, and now it's like up
Yes.
with grips and stuff. I
And
love
that
the
was
finish.
partly the practicalities of how
The fighting.
the fighting,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
couldn't fall in her face, and also you couldn't turn it around on a two-show day
Yeah.
if it was too loose.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
What does that
So-
mean?
So
I genuinely don't know what
Because
that
Okay.
means.
it would be curled with rollers and stuff, and then there's so much running and fighting going on.
Yeah.
Like,
So
10
we
minutes
cheated
in,
and gave it a
it's
hairnet
just-
in the end, didn't we? A
Yeah.
fine net to keep it in
Yeah.
place. And also we thought we could make her look slightly more old-fashioned because she's, that thing of people hang on to their favourite hairstyle.
Yeah, yeah.
So her hair is a bit back in time. So it's a little, or not
Wow.
40s, but more 50s.
Yeah. And we had to figure out how to age Ali,
Yes.
who covers her. Because
Yeah.
Ali just got such a youthful face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
went back and forth a little bit with
Yes.
that, didn't we?
What did you do with that?
Well, she now has more of a sort of 40s look.
Yeah. It's sort of lower curls.
Yeah. So we kept it up, which is sort of how the other girls have got it all the way through.
Yeah, yeah.
And then again, to go back to the period thing, people with textured hair like Adele, we wanted to keep some curl rather than, probably then it would have been straightened and curled.
Yeah,
But we
yeah.
didn't want to do that because that feels wrong. So we kept it with, and again, we had to play around with that because under the lights, the texture it looked straighter than it was. So all those things, that's what we're doing during tech, are those funny little tweaks.
Going up and poking people's head every 5 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of poking people's heads. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
And
But
hide,
just kind of,
you know, and
scope.
why is
Yeah.
that mic sticking out? And
yeah, yeah.
lots of complaints normally from sound.
Yeah.
But why is that person wearing a hat? You didn't tell me so-and-so was wearing a hat. And by the end of it, there were a lot of hats because of the whole sort of disguise things.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
more and more hats crept in.
I got less hats.
You got less
I
hats.
got less
you did
hats.
quite well on the hats, but
Yeah.
there was a moment, I can't remember whether we kept it or not, when Henry Lewis has a mic in his hat.
Yeah, yeah. First time I saw it, I just thought it was hilarious. He just had this like weird little bug sticking out the front of his hat, and he
Like an
just looked
anglerfish.
ridiculous. Yeah,
Yes.
because he couldn't wear it like too far back.
Exactly. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah. So sound always want people to wear their hats like some sort of weird
like on the back
Amish
of your
character.
head. Yeah,
And it's like when they have to be straight.
yeah. But then do people get like with hats and stuff? I always hear with like lighting and stuff. Does
Yes.
that have a knock-on effect to them?
Exactly.
And the director's
and
like, I
actors
can't
are
see
always
anyone's
convinced
face.
that you can't see them. I can't see
Yeah.
them. You can't see my eyes.
Yeah,
But equally,
yeah.
if they're wearing their hat too far back, they just look a bit silly.
It's like you look sort of a young schoolboy
Yes.
running around.
So that bit when you're sitting on the tube trains, those guys are like commuters. Oh, and that's a really sad thing. We had these wonderful little old hats that perched on people's heads for the tube sequence, but we couldn't make that work timing wise.
Oh, what with quick changes?
Because
and
everything
stuff.
that you
changes.
add in, like a hat, I will just put a hat on because that will make sense for that's another quick change. That's another
Yeah,
change,
yeah.
another change,
Yeah.
another. Is there a costume person backstage that is around at that point that can then do it then? Is there like someone from Wigs and Makeup that can come in and stuff?
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
more hats that were coming in and changes, I was
Yes.
like, because I knew it was just going to be me. Once
Yes.
it shows up running, I was like, can I be on stage left and stage right at the same time
Can
at
I
this
do it
point?
all?
Yeah. And can we ask, our stage management busy, or could they put that hat on, and then you'll get an actor saying, well, I can just put it on myself, and you'll think, yeah, you can, but actually you're doing quite a lot else.
Doing other bits.
So I'm
Yeah.
afraid the hats had to go.
That's a shame.
So there's that great bit when Ali's sitting knitting on the tube,
Yeah.
and she should have a hat on, really. And
But
then
how do you feel about her not having a hat on? Is that
I'm a
okay?
bit sad
Yeah,
because
okay.
it looked so good.
Yeah. Maybe in the filming we could just do a
Maybe
quick pause.
we could
We
stop.
were really
exactly.
trying to commit to that hat, weren't we?
Yeah, and we tried and in fact, when we did the EPK, I can remember someone saying, "Where are the hats? We could maybe get them on for this," because we weren't, doing a whole sequence. We
Yeah,
could have
yeah.
stopped and popped hats on.
Yeah. There's a lot going on, isn't there, that we don't hear
You
about.
guys
But you mentioned
are great backstage with your hair maintenance.
Yes.
I've got to say, the lads are doing
Yeah.
a good
we're
job.
doing
There's-
all right.
Yeah. When
I hairspray
when
the
we
shit
saw
out
that
of
there
them.
were so many things that going to be going on, people changing characters and stuff, there was just suddenly lots of like stations.
Yeah,
I put
yeah.
out loads of stations with hairspray comb, and the guys have been really on it, man. They've got
Yeah,
good
there's a
job.
lot of maintenance. I'm very lucky because I just basically
You're
hairspray
one of the
mine.
easiest.
Yeah, and then it sort of doesn't move.
Yeah.
Yes.
Occasionally I'll get a little flick down the front.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is sort of weird because you kind of are aware. I suppose as an actor, I'm aware subconsciously of like. I've never seen it from out front, but I'm aware of the aesthetic of the show, and I'm aware of like the costume that I'm in and what I'm meant to look like. And actually, you're then kind of going, okay, yeah, actually, it's quite difficult. So I'm meant to be quite like slick and cool in every scene, and so I come off and I'm like sweating
Yes.
and panting, and then just like, okay, I need to go back on and not look like I've just been through a hurricane. And like, actually, I suppose that's what you take on from the show. And the most exciting bit for us, obviously, as actors, is in that tech or the like when we get all of our costumes together and you see it on the set and the lights and stuff.
Yeah.
You sort of get an idea of
Yeah.
particularly what yours and David Farley's vision is.
Yeah.
Because when we were in the room in 3 Mills, it was just all wood and steel.
Yes.
And like Matty would be like, okay, and then this is going to fly in. And I was just like, I don't know what that is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you get to the theatre and you're like, oh shit, there's like a whole thing coming in.
Yeah.
And then someone like the Janet coat, for example,
Yes.
is so like gregarious and colourful and fun.
Yeah.
And so suddenly, yeah, you're like, oh, that's really satisfying. But do you guys have that kind of image in your head from the start?
I think it's a real mixture because what's weird is I think you do drawings because I had met you and I seen the workshop and we'd done the Royal Variety Show, so I sort of knew what you looked like and what things would work. But what's really nice about doing drawings is you can then sort of put them together. So thinking about, how you work, because you know that your character and Nancy's character are together a lot, and you're American, so you've got that simplistic, the cliche of you've got to be a bit louder than everybody else.
Yeah.
So therefore, you are the most colourful, and then you find things like Nancy's handbag. We found this extraordinary, funny
loves
old
that
handbag, which is
Takes it with her every
exactly,
backstage
but it's like
put
a sort of
handbag down.
Cadillac, isn't
Yeah,
it? It's got
yeah.
like, sort of fins almost. And I can remember at one point we thought it wasn't going to work, that it was going to fall over when she put the gun in. It's like, it's going to work. We're going to make it
She
work.
wanted to keep it.
She wanted to keep it. And in fact, there's some scenes when she's all, it's like it's part of her, isn't it? She's definitely
she loves
there.
that thing. But you said before we started the podcast that what did you say? You said something about tech. You said, it's strange that tech is people's like favourite time, but for you it's not.
I think it's because you can spend quite a lot of time not doing very much costume-wise. So either you're thinking, oh gosh, why did I give so-and-so that shirt? It's the wrong colour. When am I going to have time to ask him? Can I ask him to do that in his tea break? Or but mostly it's that thing of it goes around, and you never seem to get time to the bits you need to do, which is the quick changes. So you're just about to do a quick change and I don't know, something else happens, so it stops.
Yeah.
But that's why someone like Matty is brilliant, because he'll say carry on, because they need to do the quick change.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to go back on a quick change. You've got to do its time.
Yeah, or sort of like halfway through it.
Halfway
and stuff.
through. Yeah. And it's not so bad when it's a show like this, but if you've got some, I don't know, vast opera when you've got 75 people changing from being soldiers to peasants. And it's like, I know, it's time for, or as Matty would say, it's time for the tea. I can't do a Matty accent. How does he say?
Okay, we'll take the tea.
Yes, we'll take the tea.
We'll take the tea. Yeah, he's very sweet. I thought he did a really good job in that tech, actually. He just
was
had a
so
stranglehold
brilliant.
on that thing.
And he kind.
Yeah.
Kind. But the precision with which he'd say, we're going to spend 23 minutes on this scene and then we're moving on.
Well, he had in his book the exact amount of pages to be done every day.
Yes.
And you could feel if we weren't hitting it.
And Shirley Ann was just...
Yeah, she was brilliant too.
The movement director is just...
And that fabulous... I'm always baffled by the counting thing.
Oh, me too.
I just don't understand how that works at all.
Me neither. With the counts and the music were all in different times.
Yes.
And that was... but we veered, guys. We're talking about you. We're talking about design. I'm going to bring us back on.
Yes.
Unsubtly. So, okay, what's your feeling when you're sat in the stalls? And Lulu, I don't know if this is the same for you, because are you backstage with us during tech?
Yes.
And what is your kind of respective feelings as it's kind of going on? Because I appreciate you're probably looking to see what you can change. And I hear that you're trying to find time to do that. But then also, is there a moment where you're just sat there and just being like, yeah, this is great, this looks really good? Or you're just like,
no, mostly it's that. Mostly you're thinking, it does look how I thought it would look. And I think, and that goes back to, say, having time during the during the rehearsal period to do fittings.
Yeah.
And little things like making sure that people's shoes fit, so they're wearing them in the rehearsal period.
Oh, yeah, my shoes were a nightmare, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to get so many different sizes.
Exactly, because I thought, again, you Americans, you had to have loafers. To me, it seemed obvious that all the pictures of the young guys of that period, they're wearing their chinos and they've got loafers and but then obviously they had to have rubber soles because you run around a lot. They couldn't
I was worried they were going to fly off.
Exactly. But we got there, we found the perfect pair, and Nancy's got a little pair of red loafers, which is also fun.
Oh yeah, they're very sweet. Her tiny little paddle feet.
Exactly. And Nancy, her costume, I've got a friend who is half American, and her granny was this terrifying woman called Viola.
Okay.
And Viola was this I don't even know what she looked like in my memory. I know I can see her, but she was a ceramicist, and she wore quite loud colours,
Yeah.
and her bathroom smelt of pills because she had so many
Oh,
vitamins
really?
and whatever. You could smell it as you walked down the corridor. So in my mind, Janet's a bit like Viola. She's this.
Yeah. So you sort of borrowed the
I
memory of
borrowed
that
her.
True
to apply
story.
She
to it.
lives
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the Upper West Side in this funny old flat, and
Wow. So is the in tech, is there a like, what do I really want to ask? Oh, is our actors annoying when they're just like, this isn't working, or this is uncomfortable, or I want to look like this, or
they're only annoying when they haven't told you that really early on.
right?
So it's much better in your first fitting to say, as you said, I'm not quite sure if loafers are going to work because I've got to run around.
Yeah,
So then we would try and find loafers that did work.
yeah,
What's really annoying is when nobody tells you any problems, and then on day one of tech, everybody says, my shoes don't work. Can't do this, can't do that. And you're suddenly thinking, I haven't got time to sort out all those problems
Yeah.
now. So it's wonderful when actors tell you, or they might, some people will say, I don't really like fittings. I get a bit nervous in a fitting.
Okay. What do you think they get nervous about?
I think they get some people think people want to be taller or shorter or
Sure, so
fatter
it's like
or
an
thinner, or
aesthetic thing,
it's
like, yeah.
like they bring all their doubts and insecurities.
Yeah, that's hard, and you have to navigate that as
You've
like,
got to navigate that, but equally that's what you should do, because
yeah,
I can't say to you, you've got to wear that.
yeah.
That's not fair.
you feel
You're
good?
the
Do you feel
person
comfortable?
who's up on the stage.
Here's a question for you about me. I don't know if I'm a really like helpful actor or actually quite annoying, because I'm just like, yeah, whatever, man, just put me in
That's
anything, and that
helpful.
I think that's helpful
Yeah.
because it means that, because your character was, I think, very straightforward, because there are loads, there were pictures of, I don't know, JFK or all those
Yeah.
beautiful young American boys. So it was really easy to know what you should look like. You had to have some sort of checky jacket.
yeah,
The only difficulty was that initially I think we knew that your jacket would have to come off. So in a way it would have been great to have had you in a checky shirt.
yeah.
But equally, that classic black polo neck of the spy is such a wonderful,
Such a clean,
simplistic
yeah.
thing.
Because on the
So-
poster I'm wearing, it was your polo neck, wasn't it?
Yes,
Do you remember?
exactly.
Yeah.
That was Kenny's
was
last minute
Kenny's.
thing of.
Yes, we were in the photo shoot. I was in a suit, and then Kenny was like, "Can we?" And you didn't have a black
We
polo
didn't have
neck
a black
with
polo
you.
neck, and we were in the middle of nowhere, and I was wearing a sleeveless black turtleneck, and Nancy said, give him yours. Because it
Yeah.
doesn't matter
So
that it was
great.
sleeveless, because it looked like the perfect
Yeah, I
black
just sort of
polo
had to
neck.
like do up the blazer
Yeah.
and just sort of hide it.
Yeah.
But
Brilliant.
yeah. And so then did that then inspire you for the design down the line, or was that
Yes.
always kind of in your
No,
head?
I think initially, I'd drawn you as more sort of what they call like a camp shirt, that open neck thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think you had a plainer jacket, or did you have a checky jacket, like a bit like how we did the American Producers who
Yes,
disappeared?
yeah.
That thing of a loud check jacket. It definitely had to have checked, but also the way they'd written it, they talked about you having a check jacket
Yeah.
in the original script.
That must be a nightmare for you, because that's always changing.
No, that was okay, apart from the fact that the way they described it to me was a bit more like you were a lumberjack or something.
Right, okay. I never saw I
So-
never saw Lance as a lumberjack.
No, exactly. But something about how the way they described your jacket was a very outdoorsy, sort
Sure.
of woolly check jacket.
Yeah, yeah.
And
God, I'm glad I didn't have that.
exactly,
It's so hot.
it would have been
It's so
really
hot.
hot. And that's another thing, the heat thing.
Yeah.
It's really hard because you're really hot. You're under lights.
Yeah.
You may be a bit nervous.
Yeah.
So everyone sweats and
Yeah, the
you
first
know,
couple of weeks of opening the show is a totally different experience from what it is afterwards.
Yeah.
There's just extra nerves, extra heat, extra sweat.
Yeah.
Especially with the wigs and stuff.
This is all coming out of our
slippage.
head.
Yeah, extra slippage. I think it's just And then it makes the actors like, they're like, oh, and you're like, in a couple of weeks you'll see,
Yeah,
it's
you'll
going to
be
be
fine.
absolutely
Yes.
fine. But you're just sweating so much
Yes.
that
And the wig calls initially have to be much longer than they are
Mm-hmm.
eventually, because you're getting used to how they.
yeah.
And now you can probably put those wigs on in
I
about
mean,
5 minutes.
Nancy does her first wig on her own downstairs at the 5
Great.
because she's a pro, and then we switch her into a blue wig after the chase,
Nice.
and that's breezy.
Yeah.
And she's
And actually, for you as well, Lulu, like in terms of the design, are you part of that collaboration, or are you facilitating? Like,
I come in for tech.
Is that-
so
yeah.
So other than the meet and greet, where I saw a few of the ideas and stuff and the set design, and I was like, well, that was great. And then I just arrived at tech. So for me, the 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 tech run and stuff is the first time that I'm seeing it all together. Because
Yeah.
I've seen the wigs, I've sat down and we've styled them and I've understood, but I've either not met everybody or anything like that, or I haven't had a chance to see all the costumes and stuff, or the set really. So then when I saw it all, I was like, oh wow, like okay, now I get it. Now I need to make sure that this person's wig needs to last at least this long before I can access them again for any rejigging or anything like
Sure.
that. And it all starts to kind of like make sense, because before that I'm sort of going in
Doing your own thing.
going in blind,
Yeah.
other than just seeing the wigs on their own. So I
And
love
so when you style the wig, and like, do you guys do that together in terms of, or like you get sent a style that the designer wants it to be?
I'll come in and you and Suzanne would
Yeah.
have
So
gone through that.
Suzanne and I worked together from, I suppose, the beginning of the
Mm.
rehearsal process. So initially, Suzanne would come and do head wraps. So she's got the person's head shape,
Right.
and then she gets the wigs made, or she makes them herself, with colours that we choose with the person who's going to wear them.
Right. Okay.
And then by the time, Lulu doesn't really come on board until they're finished things in a way.
They're all finished. I'll arrive and it's sort of like a bit of a handover situation
Yeah.
between me and Suzanne. So she's like, here are all the wigs, these are the styles. And then through tech, depending on like how the wigs are working on stage and lighting, and with discussing with Debo, like anything that needs changing, that didn't work, that did work, kind of thing. And then I sort of like take in all that information and then just do continuity for the rest of the run,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
I just sort of keep it going. And if
Have you
anything
ever-
changes,
Like put a wig on someone that you've designed, and then it just doesn't fit their like face shape, or it makes them look weird, or like you're just like, oh, that just is not how I thought it would look.
well, we had that a little bit with Ali in the sense that she just continuously just stayed adorably beautiful.
Yes.
We wanted to
Yeah.
age her a bit for
Yes.
Nancy. We're like, how
Yes.
do we make her look older? So we were discussing a few
Yeah.
different styles with that one.
And again, the colour thing. So I feel with Ashley's, we maybe made that too blonde initially, which she loved, and it did look gorgeous.
Yeah.
But it was too close to Charlie's. So it's slightly, I think, differentiating everybody when you haven't got a huge cast. You
Yeah.
want to make sure that everyone has a different look. And then not wanting to make more wigs than you need to, because they cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
So then thinking, how do we adapt that wig? So Mercady's wig, for example, she can wear it up in a French pleat, or she can wear it long and loose
To cover Charlie.
to cover Charlie.
Adaptable.
Adaptable.
Very nice.
Adaptable.
Well, there's some a few rules are put in place in terms of how quick the turnaround is. For example, with Ali's wig, if someone had to go off really quickly, there's just not enough time. Or if the show is already up and running, if Nancy has to go off, or if she goes off last minute and there's not enough time to completely change it, because she's only got one wig, she hasn't got a double for Nancy. Sometimes it's the case she might have to just stay in the bellboy shape, which is still
Which
it
still
a good
looks suitably.
for the age that it's
Yeah.
covering.
Yes.
I've usually managed to have time to whack it up,
Yeah.
to be honest, restyle it. But there's been, I think that was last week actually, I was off and Adept was in, and it was I think Nancy had to go last minute. But it was a style that you guys chose that would still work either way.
Exactly. No, it does still work. So, and those things, luckily, what we originally thought did work. So Though having said that, when we first spoke about Charlie's was going to be in a ponytail. No, it was going to be down, and then in the rehearsal period, she'd been wearing her hair up, and we thought that was rather brilliant.
Yeah.
But the way that the wig had been knotted, it didn't really work as a ponytail.
Okay.
Because you choose when you knot which direction you knot it in.
Oh, wow.
Because your hair grows in different directions on different bits of your head.
Mine doesn't. It's all in one direction. It's just a big sweep.
Yeah.
That's my hair.
You've trained it to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Over many years.
Yeah.
But Charlie's turned into a bun for the chase because it was just... Well,
Yes.
A, it was going all over her face because you guys are running around like crazy, hands off to you. But also it gave a nice look for the agent.
Made her much primmer and more.
Yeah.
You know, she wouldn't have
glasses.
Exactly.
But even with that, it's like figuring out, because then it's quite a quick change for everybody once the chase is done. So it's like, what can you do and the minimal amount of hairpins you need, so you can just take it all out, and then she's off for a new.
Yeah.
Man, I'm glad I don't have a wig. That's good. I did have a wig in Magic though.
Did you?
Yeah, and the lady who fit it every day was just like, this is awful. It was so cheap. But then I had to have a really crap wig because I had to go in the water tank every day. So part of my quick change was to get out of my full costume into essentially like a replica that was essentially like plastic, and then just a very, very cheap wig.
And just plonk it on.
So that I would just be on, because they were like, it's going to get ruined. But they couldn't treat the water or anything like that, so it just had to be like filtered, but it didn't have any chlorine or anything in it.
Right.
But yeah, I was just in a basically a cheaper version of what I was wearing in the show. It was very strange. But let's talk about some of the stuff that got cut.
Some of the stuff that got cut, because it wasn't until I was looking at the drawings.
Debo's done a load of designs for stuff that never made it into the show.
I'd completely forgotten.
this.
So we had a little Pierrot character.
So that's sort of like a mime,
Like
right?
a mime.
So yeah, there was a section in the chase where Charlie was going to be a mime, and then I was going to dive through a mimed pane glass window. And that survived for probably longer than it should have done. I mean, it survived for long enough for you to start to make a design, which is that half finished? Did you stop?
I think we found, I think, on eBay a wonderful black and white stripy coat.
Yeah.
So we were pretty nearly there. And then Chris was going to be a pavement artist, doing
like a portrait
caricature.
painter. Yeah.
And then we had various shoppers who disappeared. We had a lady with a baby.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. There was a baby that kind of got knocked out of some hands at one point.
And then the other thing that I'd completely forgotten until I was rummaging was that bit at the end where we ended up with the guardsman look. You know, Chris in his furry hat.
Oh, the sort of
And he
beef
does
eater
his-
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that at one point was possibly a beef eater, or he was going to be a London bus. We had this mad idea that you could buy those aprons that look like the front of a red bus.
Yeah.
So he'd somehow put that on and become a London bus.
That sounds like a great gag. Why don't we do that? Disguises himself as a bus.
Then, but it was that thing of how do you have two different characters? Then I thought we'd have a pearly king and queen. Don't know what I've done with those drawings, but we had a pearly king and queen. Then maybe we had someone who was a Union Jack. What else did we go through in our various thoughts? So that's my initial trying to work out who does what and how they do it at what any time.
For those of you that are not watching this is like all of our names on a bit of paper and then sort of miniature
Lots of
drawings
tiny scribbles
of everyone. It's absolutely incredible. And so these like concept, or is this?
This was a mixture. I think that was when I listed the scenes to try and make sure I hadn't forgotten anybody.
Yeah.
And also a little bit the timings of, just thinking, well, if so-and-so does X, how can they then do the next bit?
How can they get into the...
And so...
If you see this on screen, these are not the scribblings of a madman. It's very organised. Oh, and it said there's a reverse as well, front and back. Oh, I see.
What was the discussion about the hedge situation. That's what I'd like to know, because I love the
yeah.
hedge jacket.
Oh, the hedge. Okay, so the hedge went round in circles a few times.
So Hen comes in at one point. He's fallen in a hedge, and he has a hedge. He comes
Yes.
into this. He's fallen into a hedge off stage. He comes
Yes.
on stage covered in hedge.
So I remember thinking of the hedge, the sort of hotel they're staying in, he's probably fallen into quite a formal hedge. So I tried to argue the hedge should be quite square
Yep.
and it should possibly have roots sticking out the top of it. Because if
Okay.
he's fallen into it, has it become uprooted? So then is it like a sort of square hedge with roots?
Sort of topiary, finely
Exactly.
trimmed. Yeah.
And then we went round in circles a bit. Or, is it a topiary ball that he's got stuck into?
Yeah, or like a squirrel or something.
Exactly. So anyway, and then how do we construct said hedge?
And is that your job, or is that David's job, or is that
It's
a
a
props
mixture.
job? Or
So I think it would. Sometimes you have what they call costume props, someone who specifically does those things.
Yeah.
And we had Shoni, who was completely brilliant,
yes,
and
yeah,
she
yeah.
made the hedge.
Oh wow!
So it was a mixture of
It's a sort of net
astroturf.
now, right?
It's like a sort of net, exactly. So it was a mixture of astroturf with extra bits of plastic leaf sewn
Yeah.
on.
I love it.
I love how much you
and-
thought about the type of hedge. I'd be like,
Right.
just go and buy a
It's
hedge from,
fascinating, isn't it?
buy a plastic hedge and just stick it on him. But that's why I'm not a
We
designer.
couldn't buy a plastic hedge. The closest we could buy were, Michelle found many different options on the
Oh
hedge.
wow!
So that somewhere there were bags of different sorts of leaves,
Plastic leaves. That's
plastic
so
leaves.
mad.
And I can't remember whether does it now have a structure, because at one point we thought it should. Oh, I remember there was a production meeting when I had made out of a cardboard box what I thought was the right size of the hedge.
Okay.
And I can remember saying, so, what do we think of this? And everyone just looking a bit baffled when I produced my
Your
cardboard box
box.
version of the hedge.
And then what was the answer?
Then
the
I
hedge
think
site?
we moved on to it becoming more. At one point, it was going to be like a sort of poncho. And
Yeah, I
think
remember
now,
it being a poncho.
And the poncho
yeah.
wasn't really successful.
Oh no.
And then I think it ended up being sort of, because this comes on a sort of weird plastic grid, a bit like you'd put over your, I don't know, tomatoes, say.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was quite a useful basis.
So you're just sort of finding all kinds of different things to make.
Yeah. And
We are known in Mischief for having like niche requirements. for
yeah,
things.
niche requirements.
Yeah.
And then the Shoni made that, and she's brilliant at those slightly left field
Yeah.
requests. And then she made the extra big guardsman hat that
Yeah.
Chris wears. And then what I love about that is when he does his special walk that goes
does a
with
very
it, and
silly
you
walk.
know he's a guardsman.
Yeah.
And Charlie is the queen because she gets a crown at the same
Little
point.
crown, yeah.
And she does her special
Little
waving at
queen's
the
wave.
crowd.
Yeah.
So, and that was supposedly things they'd found on the souvenir card as they went through.
Yeah. So you're having to like source all of that stuff, and often we're just like, yeah, can we just get something
Yes.
funny?
Or as Michelle said, from the really early days of the workshop, that thing of, we want the wine spattered jacket.
Oh yes.
And-
There's
and-
like 4 of them.
The 4 of them,
Yeah.
exactly. And how do you progressively do the
Yeah.
amount of wine?
Honestly, when I first of all, in the meet and greet, when I started to see the ideas, because I'd read the script, but then just seeing it, and then when I went into tech, it's like the funniest show I've worked, because I'd done West End and RSC and things that are like either musicals or like serious plays. And I just sat there in the audience, and the more things are happening, I was like, what is going on? This is hilarious. It was just like, by the end of tech, nothing could faze you. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just like the silliest
Oh, the
ideas
amount
that
of
work so well.
extremely serious conversations that we've had particularly with designers about how to remove someone's trousers. But then, like, on Bank Robbery, where I remember having, not an argument, but quite a heated discussion with Roberto, where he was like, I've made the trousers rippable. I was like, they're not ripping in a funny way.
Yes.
They need to rip like this. And he was just like, okay, yeah, I guess I can do that. And I was like, yeah. And then we did it. And I was like, see, it's funny. And he was like, yeah, it is funny. But yeah, it's like those kind of ludicrous conversations happen
Yes.
all the time. Where it's like, how many like blazers can we destroy with red wine?
No, and I think
Yeah.
I worked on a play years ago, and I can remember in the production meeting someone saying, And this show had a kettle. It was a really empty set and it had a kettle. And someone said, the problem with the kettle is it's got too much personality. And everyone's sitting in this room and we're all saying, And yet, to an outsider, you'd be thinking, who are these people? What are they wittering on about?
What does that mean, a kettle's got too... Did you believe it had too much? Did you agree? Or were you just nodding?
I know I did agree, because if you have got this incredibly bare set, and it was one of those ones that lit up and whistled and...
Just did a bit too much.
It did a bit too much.
Too much attention
Too
on
much
the
of a feature.
It probably should have just been an old-fashioned chrome kettle that...
Whistled.
Whistled, or maybe not even whistled.
You probably don't actually even need to heat it up.
No.
Just
I think the
pretend.
kettle we had when I was little, you plugged it in and it didn't even turn itself off.
Just kept going.
Yeah, I mean, there you are. You see, that's very old school, isn't
Wow,
it?
that is very old school. Terrible for the environment, I imagine.
Was Tipton originally going to be upside down in Australia?
Yes.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was.
We built a whole system.
That was a great concept.
Yeah. And we made
Yeah.
a
Very
hat
technical in the end,
with wired
With
the
like a-
corks,
Oh, yeah.
so
the
that when he
corks-
was upside down, the
Yeah.
corks would stay.
I remember Michelle walking around backstage with...
She
She
was-
was just like, this fucking hat.
Yes,
And then we didn't even do it in the end.
exactly.
Well, because we built a... so there were holes. So in the lift sequence, we're on the wharf, what is then used later as the wharf, so that we get some height. So they drilled a load of holes into the wharf and put scaffolding poles in it with a crossbeam across the top. And then we hung essentially like a trapeze sling over it. So Greg would have to like hook his legs in and then hang upside down. The problem was that the wharf was so narrow, and we couldn't have the beams in at any other point. We had to put them in between me falling and the doors opening.
Right.
And it was just up there. It's just so unsafe, because it's like there's
Yeah.
no. If Greg falls, then
Yeah.
it's like there's just nothing to
Nothing,
stop him.
yeah.
And then it was also just timing and stuff. And then it also kind of didn't make sense, because why aren't I upside down? Because we're
Yeah.
in the same location.
Yes.
But
right,
then-
yeah.
Also, it's still just, it doesn't matter. If he's upside down, it would just be funny. We just
Yeah.
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But he still got the wire.
He's still got the wire.
has
Yeah,
got the
yeah.
wired hat, even though he's now not upside down.
Yeah.
And
Just having to keep bending the wires back straight again whenever it gets put
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, bless you. So I'm going to bring us to a close now. And as I do that, I've got two questions. But the first one I want to ask is, what kind of advice would you give in terms of like approaching a design for something?
you'd read the script.
You'd
You'd
hope so,
talk
wouldn't
to the
you?
director.
Yeah.
And I think I remember I rewatched Mad Men from start to finish,
It's great.
because
isn't it?
and I'd forgotten how brilliant it was.
Yeah.
But it's such a brilliant evocation of that time.
Yeah, and that style.
That style,
yeah.
and all those funny little things they do, like, you know, the men, they do up their jackets when they stand up, they unbutton them when they sit
Yeah.
down. I don't know how, just how things fitted, and the underwear, you know, the women, the pointy bras and
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff that we've done.
So sort of trying to immerse yourself
in the period, I think.
Yeah,
Lots of looking at pictures and books and
sort of trusting that your instinct will
trying
guide
to-
you somewhere.
yes.
Yeah.
And thinking of people. So, you know, thinking of, I don't know, what my mum would have worn, trying to remember, and looking at just pictures, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And just trying to sort of build
Trying to
an image of the
build.
whole thing. And I suppose
Yes.
you're then pitching it, aren't you, to
Yes.
the director and the set designers and stuff.
Yeah, and I remember having this slightly terrifying conversation with the two Henrys and Kenny and Matty in the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
And having to, you know, I suppose, sell myself, and just thinking, oh my gosh, this is, you know, you've got to tell other people it's fine if it's in your head, but
Yeah. It's about
you
communicating
do have
it.
to communicate it.
That's why you've got these lovely images. Because
And also then you realise
drawings.
what you've done, you know, so things like, at one point, Henry had this really colourful dressing gown,
yeah.
which was fun, but then he doesn't really have time, and how does he get into it and out of it?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
actually, it's quite funny seeing him in his underpants, and
Classic.
Exactly.
That's classic Mischief. What about you, Lulu, as well? Like any kind of your job, I suppose, at the moment now is more maintenance,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, what's your advice for someone who's kind of going into that? Because I imagine there are times where it's like quite easy and fun, or sometimes
Yeah.
where it's stressful, maybe a bit boring. Like,
I think going in with an open mind that everything could change, because I think when you read the script, you note down before meeting everybody in the cast and all of that where you see there's an outfit change, there could be a wig change, there could be a hat change, all this kind of stuff. And it's great to do all of that, and I still strongly suggest that people do that. But once you get into tech, there's a whole new bunch of cues, especially when I saw in the script how many different things were happening. I was like, oh, it's going to be really busy backstage. Okay, like, can I be in two places at once, or can I set up a thing over here for the guys and then while I figure out the girls and stuff like that? So I think, yeah, doing the prep beforehand to get like a general sense, and then also being perfectly okay with the fact that it could all be completely different once you're sitting in the auditorium watching everything going on.
It's all going to change.
Yeah.
And working out how it fits in the theatre. So at the Noel Coward, for example, that what would be the principal dressing room on the stage level is actually
We have
Wardrobe
green room
Village,
and Wardrobe Village, yeah.
So a huge number of the costumes never make it up to the dressing rooms.
Yeah,
Because
they stay on
people
stage.
change, so it all lives down there.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, commonly there'd be like a wigs and makeup table, like somewhere backstage for like quick access and stuff. But in this theatre, it's not far away, but it's off.
So we've got too many bits.
Too many bits.
Too many bits backstage.
And then it means that you've got light and a bit more space rather than being in some tiny corner
Crammed in,
with everyone,
getting in everyone's way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with
Working
bits
a
of
lot
set
with costume.
flying towards you.
Yeah. Working a lot with the costume teams to figure out how we can all squeeze in.
Squeeze in,
Yes.
Get cozy.
And my final question is the one we've been asking everyone on the podcast. If you could spy on any member of Mischief, who would you spy on? So they don't know. They don't know that they will never find out.
In the theatre or in their normal life?
In their normal life, like any time you want. If you were like, I specifically would like to spy on Henry Lewis on the bus. It can be any time, anywhere.
Chris.
Chris, okay. Yeah, you want to spy on Chris.
I'd love to be like a little bug on Chris's head on just a normal day.
Just like from when he wakes up to going to the theatre.
Yep.
Yeah,
the whole thing. Him backstage as well. That would be quite interesting. His little things. And I also find that actors have like specific things that they do for luck or like they get into their routine once you're in the swing of the show, and they have their little moments where they go here and they go here and they go here and they go here, and you start to be able to tell like who's in the green room in the break, or who likes to stay in their rooms or stuff like that. And Chris,
What's he
I'd
up
love
to?
to know what he's up to.
Nice. You got Chris.
Oh, I don't know.
You can pick someone from the creative team as well, if you don't want to have to pick an actor.
Well, I did think it was really funny the other day. Jonathan wrote something about how on Instagram about he'd got 28 courgettes or something.
Jonathan Sayer.
And I was
28
thinking
courgettes.
28 courgettes. How many courgette plants have you got to create 28 courgettes? And what are you going to do with said 28 courgettes?
Well, we can't talk about that on this podcast, but so you would choose. I think a few people have chosen Jono.
Have they?
Jono and Greg are very popular because Greg's so lovely. You're like, what's going on back there, man?
Yeah.
Come on, Greg. Come on, what are you
There's
doing?
a secret.
It's a secret. He's a real spy, I think. That's why. But
Do you know
Jono,
what? Byron's pretty up there too, to be fair.
yeah, Adam Byron, one of our understudies, yeah.
That would be actually maybe equally as interesting as Chris.
Because
Just pop yourself
he's
underneath
quite
Byron's
wild.
hat and follow him around would be
Yeah,
hilarious.
That would be very fun.
Who would you choose?
I would either choose, probably Jono or Harry Kershaw, who you guys don't know as well, but Harry's a very good friend of mine, original Mischief guy, and he just makes me laugh. He's such a funny man, and I can just sit and watch him. I've watched him from across the room, just living his life, and I'm like crying. It's just the way he lives his life is so sweet and amusing.
Yeah.
And so it'd probably be him.
The green room backstage on a Comedy About Spies is just like comedy heaven. You can just sit there and be completely mute on the chair.
Yes.
Just while the break is going on, the 20-minute interval, and you just experience so many things.
It's a like real mix of people releasing adrenaline, or like, for example, the understudies who may not have a lot to do that day,
Yeah.
just releasing their like pent up.
Yes, yes.
They've been trapped in this building and they need to do something, and
Yeah.
it just all comes out in a
Yeah.
flurry in 20 minutes, and
Yeah.
then it's done.
Yeah, it's like lots
So
of little
funny.
stand-up routines all happening at once, and then interacting and
Yeah, it's carnage. Sometimes I retire to my dressing room.
for a bit
I'm
of
just
peace.
like
You're
just
a
because of
dressing room man.
the sound.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there's
It's-
like 12 different conversations going on, all as equally entertaining.
Yes.
And there's snacks on the table.
Yes.
Someone's playing Uno. Someone's reading a script.
Yeah.
Someone's venting. Someone's releasing adrenaline.
So glad we got a green room.
Oh, and
So
that's
good.
the other thing that I think is weird about my bit is that once the show becomes the show, it's a bit like your babies have left home. You know, you're
Yeah.
redundant.
and you're so missed when you're not
Oh,
around.
but no, but that's
Whenever Debo comes back in the building, we're like, I
It's
just
like,
hear your voice. I'm like,
yay.
she's in.
no, it's really lovely today because Kate, I went in because I was looking for the bits of fabric, and Katie Ann and I was in wardrobe talking to Emily, and Katie Ann suddenly said, "There you are! I saw you'd signed in, and I had to come and find you."
Oh,
And I
that's
thought
very
that's so
sweet.
nice,
We
but
love
it
it
is
when
that
Debo comes
weird
back.
thing of your babies don't really need you anymore, and you're
Because we've got all the bits.
You know,
Because
Yeah.
you're working so closely for so many
Yes.
hours during
Yeah.
tech and rehearsals and stuff. So it's just like as soon as one person leaves, it's like what?
Then
Yes.
then you're just done on to the next thing.
on to the next thing. So
Well, you are missed.
thank
Very
you.
nice.
And our fans will now miss you as I bring this podcast to a close. Thank you, Debo. Thank you,
Thank
Lulu.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for having us.
And I usually say good night. Good night, everyone.